Okay, good evening all. Welcome to the BATC Net. Just checking I've got sound. Yes. A bit warm in the shack tonight, but keep an eye on the PA. Temperature seems to be okay at the moment. Thanks to Mike for sorting out the frequency. And good evening. We've got Jim G0DQH, Rob M0DTS, John G7JTT, and I think Noel will join us later. News for this week. We've been just ignore that call. We've been upgrading the streamer to the latest software. Had a few issues here and there, but it does seem that the problems with the RSGB stream and the Norfolk stream seem to be due to issues at their end. We've identified what's going wrong there. Some people are having problems viewing the stream on the Portsdown. That's the flash stream. I think this is ISPs beginning to block flash before the end of the year, or at least testing their blocking systems. I don't know. That's my assumption at the moment. Personally, I've been working on the mini tuner and the ride project, so I'll show you some of that next time round. So, straight over back to Mike, G0MJW in the net, G8GKQ.
Right. Just giving it a little time to catch up. Hopefully it has done so now. So good afternoon or good evening everyone. It's been a nice warm day today, as you probably all noticed. It's been humid, I think that's the difference. Not a lot to report really from this end. Done a few things, but not anything particularly interesting. I guess the only thing to show, if I just find the other camera, is this. The LTEC is now in a box, a natty sort of pink colour, with all the bits on the back and my standard power pole connectors to give the output. What I've discovered though is it gives out 53 volts, and that's maybe a little bit too much. So I'm now going to investigate doing something about that, and the simple way is to use an Arduino and write some software. Might think about focusing at some point, you never know, if we're really lucky. No, never mind. Anyway, use an Arduino and some software and a CAN bus adapter, which I've just ordered from Amazon, very cheap, to do that. You can control the voltage, you can set the default voltage, you can measure the current, you can measure the mains voltage, and you can measure all sorts of other interesting parameters as well if you feel so inclined. We use the LTEC power supply, so very useful. It's probably why the price has suddenly shot up, but anyway, I'll test that next. But so far so good, and it works. Otherwise, not a lot to report, and I think there'll be a lot of people on, those that haven't melted, so let's keep it moving around quickly. I'll put up the test card, and whoever's next, G0MJW.
It's a little bit bigger signal, isn't it? There we go, that's a bit more realistic. Still quite high. But yeah, lovely sunny day here as well. Actually a bit too hot for me, but yeah, you don't usually get it that hot up here, you see. Yeah, dear. Right, come around to the shack cam. Yeah, if you're receiving Jim, unfortunately we didn't get anything from your over. Your signal was there, but there didn't appear to be any transport stream. So you better have a look at that before your next over. Okay, yeah, good evening to everyone. It's very similar to Mike in a way. Speak up. Oh, okay, is it a bit quiet? It is a little bit low, isn't it? Okay, there we go. There's a bit more audio for you, Mike. That should be a bit better. Yeah, it was just backed off there. Yeah, not a great deal to talk about really. With it being that hot, I've not really got a lot done actually. It's not quite as productive. Did a little bit of portable on Tuesday using the ports down and ports down. Sorry, Langston, and the 3.4 gig unit that I've got attached to the Pluto. I haven't got a great deal of image, something to show there. Have I got a picture? Yes. I took a little picture while I was out there on the hilltop in the nice weather. It's quite a nice view from up there. Right hand side there, you can just see it just peeking over the hill is Roseby Topping. And then just to the left of that you can see a fairly tall pillar before the land falls off, and that's Captain Cook's monument there, James Cook. So yeah, it's a lovely view from up there. The sun was just setting. I didn't manage many QSOs on 3.4 gigs, but I enjoyed an enjoyable evening out anyway. The ports down. Langston is doing well. It took me quite a while to get it set up, unfortunately, because for some reason I still can't get it to work on USB to the Pluto. I have to have it network. But I took a different router with me, just a random router that I had laid around, and put that in the van and tried to get it to work, but it took a little while, and I had to manually go in and specify the IP address for it to work. The auto find didn't seem to want to play. Other than that, been doing a bit in the workshop, clearing some space out of there. And I have received the 122 gig modules finally. It took quite a long time to arrive up here, this far north I think. So playing around with them a little bit, but not as much as I wanted to. So there we go. Right, who is it to go to? John. Okay, I'll round to you, John, and I'll talk about the 122 gigs next over if I get around to there. So G7JTT in the group, M0DTS.
Just make sure it's going out, make sure I've got a TS this time. Come on. Yeah, it's working. Right. Do we have audio? Yes, I believe we've got audio. Right, good evening all. Trust everybody's well. Hands up who's only just put a t-shirt on. I didn't want to embarrass you all by sitting there. I got a fan down there facing straight up at me at the moment. It's oh dear, it is hot. I've been out everywhere this morning, so I've been down as far as Keyhaven, which is down near Lymington, all up through the forest, and the traffic is just being diabolical. Anyway, we've all been tweeting about it. It's nuts. Anyway, that's here or there. I have a very quick video to play. I was surprisingly, I got what modern standards a very small hard drive in this laptop, and I happened to notice the other day that I only had a few gig left on it. So I thought, right, I better clear some bits off of it. Started going through, the download folder was I don't know how many terabytes, but loads of, I found images of Stretch dating back to 1901 and God knows what. So I've deleted all those. Anyway, in going through it, I found some old photos. So I'll just play these. Most people probably won't recognise them, but there are definitely a few people who may recognise some of the pictures, including a very young me and several of me up Mars back in the day when I used to climb them. No safety harnesses, nothing. It used to be a little bit non-health and safety. Anyway, let's see if this will play. Right, that one now. thing is, sadly, a lot of these people don't exist anymore. That was Alan. I can't make my mind up if that's Dave or Howard. I think it might have been Howard. KXC. These are all members of the SCART group back in when I first got into TV. BVK, Steve, and Overway. I can't remember his name now. Was it Tony possibly? PNW, I think that was his call. But there are some. That was our ex-club call sign, G7 SEZ. CKN, Roy, up at Medstead, used to read the GB2 RS News. GTZ, anybody know GTZ at all? I think I've heard of the call. And LES, I think he still uses the same test card, and that little dolly thing, whether it was doll thing. This is the old SQ, if I remember rightly, with a frame that Howard GE3NZL built. There we go, there's the old GB3AT, for those that remember it. There's a few of these sequences now. I think these are pictures I've actually received, and this is probably under lift conditions, because I never used to get it that great, to be honest. Where I lived in Southampton at the time, Howard's hill used to sort of pretty much block me, so it was only under lift conditions I used to see anything. Right, it seems to be going on longer than I thought it was. A couple of more seconds and I'll stop it. Come on, there's a couple of pictures I just wanted to get to. Anyway, things have moved on a little bit since these days. I'm trying to think. I think these were all around about 2001-ish, so 19 odd years ago. I think one of them had a date on there somewhere. Come on. Oh, the pictures I believe were all done by Ian. G6, sorry, oh, I can't remember. Oh, that's my old shack. Look at that. There's some young fella there. Look at that handsome chap. Anyone recognise him at all? This was, I think this was the AT, sorry, when it went digital. Because I think in a minute you'll see that we were using a 23 SEMS transverter. That was flight refueling, where we used to go every year to try and earn club funds. Another one, I think we've seen that already. Come on. Back to flight refueling again. Right, that little mug there at the top of that mast, that's me. I think it was about, I can't remember, 60 or 70 metres up, whatever it was. Just climbed up, no harness, no anything. We had ropes dangling down, and they used to sort of give me stuff. That was where HT was at Winchester, at Sarum, and that little wooden shed was where we had all our gear. The shed was donated from somebody, and we fit it in there. And there you go. That's the date on there. So 2001. That was CKN. Oh, it's me again. Anyway, I think that's more than enough. So let's go back to me, and I should pass it back around. I forgot who's next now. I should pay more attention, shouldn't I? Oh, Gonzo. Right, over to you. G0NZO. Jules, G7 JTT.
Right, I was just going to do a quick demo here. It's always dangerous doing a demo on air, but of course I'm not quite ready for it. Let's get that command up and that command, and what should be on there, oh, hang on. This is the start of the RIDE receiver, the set-top box. In the box there is a Raspberry Pi 4 and a power supply, and on the top of it there is a HDMI display. I have here a remote control, so if I go to menu, we get a menu up. I can scroll up and down the menu and control things like symbol rate, that's at 333, and so on. And then I can ask it to receive. It's not got a signal at the moment, and it hasn't got a mini tuner plugged into it. But apart from that, that's the start of the BATC RIDE project. So that's what I've been playing with here. Last week I had a mini tuner that I was trying to craft a Serret onto an old Sharp board. That was successful, so that's being used for testing the RIDE, but not wired up at the moment. I have had a picture out of it, but there is a way to go. Tim MW0RUD has been doing some sterling work on the software development, and between us we hope to have something sort of beta testable within a few weeks. Mike, that looks a mighty power supply unit. Take your aiming to get 48 out of it. Jim, one thing you could try doing to start with is monitoring your signal on Minituner on 2309.75, monitoring the uplink frequency, and then at least you'll know if you've got a transport stream. So that's worth considering. Mike, the Pi doesn't seem to mind having two IP addresses, one for the USB Pluto and one for wired network. I haven't tried it with three with a wireless, but I don't seem to have any issues with mine permanently connected on USB, although I have changed the IP address on it to be different from my home LAN, because my home LAN is on 192.168.2. DHCP? Possibly, don't know, I haven't seen it, but anyway. Yeah, I haven't gone quiet on RIDE, we've been doing a lot of work on it. Okay, let's put it back round to you then, Mike. I haven't seen anybody else call in. If Jules, if you can pipe up when you're ready to go, and we'll slot you in the next available time. So G0MJW to take it from GHGKQ and the BATC Net.
Okay, G0MJW. Hopefully it'll catch up with me. Nice to see that you've made some progress on RIDE. Anyway, I would have liked gone quiet. Anyway, let me know if you need anything done on that. I'm just going to mute myself because I'm hearing myself coming back. Sorry if it was feeding back through the system. Yeah, it's a big power supply, but it's actually very small compared to most of these power supplies. So let me just hold it and hold it up to the camera rather than use the other camera. You can see written upside down it says LTEC flat pack. Maybe you can see, I don't know. But these were reasonably cheap a few years ago, but they seem to have gone up in price. They're about £85 now. They are 2 kilowatt power supplies, and they will give you 48 volts. So it's ideal for driving 48 volt amplifier type things, of which there's quite a lot now with LDMOS, and that's probably why the price has gone up. They can also be used for battery charging, because I think they have a constant current mode or a constant voltage mode, and all sorts of built-in testing and everything else which you can access via the CAN bus, and hence my earlier questions. So that's what I've been doing, and I 3D printed a back and front case for it. Actually, I'm not too happy with the strength of this, so I might redesign this. This back panel is not really thick enough with respect to that IEC connector, so I might redesign it, I don't know. But it makes it neat and easy, and it stops you electrocuting yourself. That's the idea. So hopefully it'll work. But I was toying with the idea of using an Arduino and an LCD display or an LED display, TFT, to display key parameters perhaps and allow some control. But I mean, what do you want to know from a power supply? You don't want to know the voltage, because that doesn't change. All you want to know is the current, really, and you've got the current meter on the amplifier typically, so perhaps it's not all that useful. But setting the default turn-on voltage to 48 volts is what the plan is, and there's some code about that allows you to do that. It's a fairly simple thing to do. The only problem is you need a CAN bus, and I haven't got one, so I've had to order a little module that does a CAN bus, converts SPI to a CAN bus. Right, enough from me, I think. Hope everyone's going to be all right for the week. Next weekend, I think, is National Field Day. No, not next weekend. Next weekend coming is National Field Day, which is going to be interesting. But hopefully I'll be able to get on for next week. Right, go back to the test card, and 7 for everybody, G0MJW.
Well, there we go, I see a squirt up on there. And where's the volume control? Which is the easiest one to turn down, probably that one. Right, we're on a different camera tonight. I daren't put my other camera on because I've got so much light out here. I'm westerly facing, you see. So that's that. Anyway, here we are again. Another week gone. And thank you very much for sending me. Let me just turn this volume down. I can hear myself back with the delay. And thank you very much for sending me the what do you call it, Easy Cap. I did actually try to cancel it because I'd got 2 and realised that I'd got a USB extension lead. But this one certainly, which is the Video DIR, £8 from the shop, arrived, and I don't get the poppy audio on this that I got on the others. But we'll do some more investigation as far as that's concerned. And what I mentioned last week, nobody came up with an answer as to why my desktop, the one over there, the mouse on the narrowband was kept zooming up and down the screen when I wanted it to do the fine tuning. And after a lot of fiddling about, I changed the browser to Firefox, and with Firefox it works perfectly okay. I've changed it back to Microsoft Edge, and which and also, what's that other one with the circle, which the other computers are using, and they're perfectly okay. So I don't know, and that is about it. I've got a test card generator which I've constructed, or partly constructed. It's nearly finished. There we go, on a bit of Verboard. Of course, as always, I chose a bit of Verboard that I got which was too small, so dare I show you on the back we've got a couple of jumpers, but I'm waiting for a 4.43 meg crystal to run the video chip, which is an AD something or other, which is, let's see if I can get that on the screen, which is up in your top left hand corner. And of course the spacing on that doesn't meet Verboard specification very well, so I don't know who recognises that, but it's an EEPROM adapter which I managed to find in a box, and soldered it onto there, and all the connections are okay. But if I was going to build it again, I would either etch a PCB or get a larger Veroboard. And I mean, a lot of it's taken up, of course, as you probably recognise by that buck converter on the right hand side. The original design, it's the one actually which is in CQDA TV April issue, and John G3RFL has written an article on that, and the actual circuit diagram is available there. But he seems to have used a PIC chip which is nowhere in anything that I've got in my little programmer here, which probably people remember as being a nice PIC and EEPROM programmer, and is wonderful as far as that's concerned, but it doesn't contain this particular chip. So tomorrow's exploits are going to be to explore MP Lab and see if I can make my brain hurt a little bit more. Right, we're going to do a little experiment here, and we will assume that's coffee. What's he on about there? Oh, that was before me. So good evening to the ones that have managed to get on the net. I can see myself back, so I've got no reason to believe that other people aren't receiving me. But I have noticed that there seems to be a bit of a discrepancy on the received signal and what I received back on what is actually 2 or 3 mini tuners, and perhaps I ought to put them back to standard. There seems to be sometimes a large difference between the frequency received and the frequency that is there. I mean, what is there I'm looking at the moment is perfectly okay, 499250, but I put that in to the mini tuner, and on one of the computers it doesn't seem to want to know. Anyway, something else to exploit, and also OBS. We'll have another go with that. Right, we're going to try something now which I haven't tried before to sign off, so I'll leave it to Dave after this works, either does or doesn't. So night all, and we'll still stay on and see if anybody's got any comments. Bye for now. G0AZQ. And I think there's still audio on there. No, there isn't.
Okay, we're back again. Yeah, thanks for that, Tony. Let's just mute my audio and the headset, otherwise that's going to cause some confusion. Yeah, fine signal there, Tony, no problem at all. I was going to comment on something. What was I going to comment on? Blips. I could still hear a few blips on your audio, Tony, but other than that, perfectly fine. So, looking good. Yeah, still nothing from Jim DQH there on that last over. Yeah, good to see the progress on ride, Dave. I've sort of been following that in the background. I saw that the other guy was playing around with PY Game to display all the menus for the GUI and things, which is quite interesting. That's what I'd used on KM to create some of the graphics stuff on there previously. And it's quite useful, quite easy to do that sort of thing, but not very good for processing large parts of the screen, updating large parts of the screen quickly and things, but other than that, pretty good. What else are we working on? Well, there's imminent work on GB3KM. We've got a lot of parts, not components, large parts, expensive parts and things on the way. Hopefully a HDMI video switcher that will do what the old analog composite video switcher used to do with the 4x4 and 9x9 and whatever. It's multi-channel HDMI switch that does picture-in-picture and quad modes and things with programmable anything, whatever input in whatever segment of the screen, which was the key criteria that we wanted, so we could repopulate it every time different users change on it, come on and go and things like that. So we're just waiting for that to arrive, and then I've got the heap of logic which is across on the other side of the shack here. Over there's a pile of stuff for KM, plus other stuff and things just sat there. But I need to do a bit of coding for that for the new switcher, and bring that into the equation, and we should be good. So I've been playing around with these 122 gig boards. I think Colin EML showed it last week. But I haven't done a great deal with them yet, so don't ask us too many questions, because I don't really know. Basically, I've just switched it on as a carrier going out, and then on the IF port I can receive a signal, basically. But it's smack bang in the middle there is the where all the magic happens. So that is the actual radar chip that it is, that operates on 122 gigahertz. So hence you need a nice circuit board to utilise that thing. It's you can get to the pins. It is QFN, so you can. I don't know whether I can get close enough to see that. Yeah, you can just see the pins on the side there. And that was the one. Yeah, so it's QFN, so you can do it with relative ease. Yeah. So yeah, there's a micro that controls all sorts of things on there. There's a PLL that controls the pre-scaled VCO output off the chip. So basically the TX is on all the time, and then you just tune the basically the transmit oscillator is just transmitting all the time. The receive is just offset by 2 meters or 144 megs or whatever, and then the IF comes out of that port there. Whoops, I'm going to focus back again. So yeah, so you get IF out of there at 144 megs. It's actually got quadrature output, but the design as it is doesn't use that. It only uses one port, so you lose about 3 dB of sensitivity, but for the moment that doesn't really matter too much. And then this bit of gubbins which I made up, basically the choke feed and the coupler, sliding coupler there, which appears to be something like that when it's above the chip. And there's about a millimetre in down the coupler where it seems to be happy. So this sits on top of here. I'll just gently place that on there. So yeah, a couple of parts sits on top of the chip, with the 4 holes line up. That sits on top of there, roughly like that. That goes into there. Slide that up and down to optimize coupling. Very technical. Just maximize the signal basically on receive, and point it at a dish. The little switch on there is for channel numbers and things, but I've just got it defaulted to the first one. That one's on transmit, and then this one's on receive effectively. You might recognise the box on there. It's a microwave modules box, but you can see the feed poking out of the box there. and I've got that roughly lined up on the focal point of the dish, so that's a 35 centimetre PSP dish there, which worked relatively well on 134 gigahertz. So we're going to do some testing with that next week, quite possibly, or at least down the yard here. Use that one as the test source. Probably have to attenuate it through something because it is really strong, so much stronger than a 134 gig test. So there we are. Oh yeah, and there's that little box there as well. The Nano VNA V2 seems to work as expected, so quite happy with that. The thing I did this week was the 3D printed case for that, but, and then Mike found a better one. So yeah, that's the way it goes. Right, I think that's it anyway. So, what's it like on the spectrum analyzer? Spiky. That's all I'll say. Yes. I don't know whether it's related to the PLL or not, but there's a lot of spurs. Lots and lots of spurs. But the main carrier is about 20 dB, pretty much 20 dB over the spurs. So you're just at that point where it doesn't make quite as much of a difference for overall power, but it's probably sucking like a few dB of the power away, I would imagine. A couple of dB, something like that. But it's not too bad. So, it's good enough. What more do you need? It's just for communications. It isn't. You're not going to interfere with anybody, I doubt. So we shall see with that. The tone's not particularly nice sounding, but it's good enough. So a lot more to come on that. So hopefully get some videos of that working in the near future. There's loads of other features on it, but I've not played with it yet. Huge gain from the dish. Well, you'd like to think so, but no, not quite. I think I had about 35 dB from that dish on 134 gigs. So you need an extremely good dish for that band. So there we go. Right. Can't remember who's after me now. Won't work as it's mesh. Is it mesh or not? I've tried to find out, but I can't find out what's inside it. JTT. Okay, well that's it from me this week, I think. Which camera should I put back on? We'll put that one on. There's quite a nice haze above the hills there. Doesn't look like there's any tropo forming though. I looked to the south earlier and an hour ago there wasn't much happening. So I'm back at work for the next 4 days, so can't play with that. So yeah, there'll be a massive opening, so enjoy people. 7-3, and we'll be on again next week. Round to John, JTT, 0DTS in the group.
To Jim, failed to get to server. I'm guessing because you haven't got fixed IPs again, Jim, your router has probably changed addresses. So have a look at those addresses again and just check on those. 122 gig. Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. I've actually come across in my travels around the forest and everything this few weeks, I found some really nice sites, nice and quiet, out of the way, not the best in every direction, but certainly my thoughts are that for you guys on the higher microwave bands, certainly down here south, there's not many huge hills as such, but one particular place on the way down to Keyhaven this morning, there's a nice little lay-by entrance to a field where you could certainly get a car parked and a couple of dishes up there quite easily, and you've got a view of the entire width of the Isle of see Stenbury down, you can see Hannington, not Hannington, Rowridge, and the Needles. You can see all of that. So if you're looking for a proper line of sight path, probably a few kilometres or more, actually it's going to be more than that, probably 10-15 kilometres or something. There's certainly some nice spots down now. Up in the forest, actually, over by Sway, I think it was. I have been got some coordinates of these places, so I'm going to put them into one of the mapping programs and just see how good they are. But there's one over by Sway which is quite nice. That's got very good takeoffs to the north, most of the south, and west not so good to the east. So yeah, I think we got bumps compared to your hills, Rob. But there are definitely some nicer places actually that have probably not been used for microwaves before. It's probably a good reason why they're not being used, but I don't think I've seen any of them on the various different lists that are about. Right, really apart from that, that's pretty much it. Oh, one thing I just need to ask. Right, Jim's obviously had an issue tonight. I think what's happened is, I think we had this before his end, it looks as if his router has changed changed the addresses, sorry. Unfortunately, we can't gain access to his router. We can see it, but it refuses to let us in. So we can't set anything up in it. But anyway, that's in or out. One of the questions I need to ask on his behalf, because I think he was going to ask tonight, with his previous PA, he has some desensing. With his new PA, he has some major desensing. Now, he is using a prime focus dish with a potty feed and the LNB behind it. It occurs to me that when he transmits, obviously, that LNB in effect is in the full focal beam width or focal beam of the dish, whereas those of us who use the offset dishes don't have that. Ross, I lost my beard, sorry. I just realised, sorry about that. Yeah, so I'm assuming perhaps some of the desensing is the fact that he's using a prime focus dish. So if he was to extend the length of the copper tube, the waveguide, or whatever you call it, would that probably help with regards to the desensing? Maybe wideband noise. Possibly, yes. If I'm on it, yeah, it's getting back into them. Yeah, I suspect it's something like that, but I'm sure we're all in the same situation. We're all running dual feed antennas, and oh no is the answer, John. Oh right, okay. So we need to do something else, maybe a separate dish or something then. Anyway, with that, I shall pass it round to it would have been Jules, but he's not there. So is it round to you, Dave? I think, or is it? I don't know. Anyway, whoever to take next, GE7 JTT. Oh, GKQ.
Okay. Yeah, John, in answer to that question, I don't think that is likely to be the issue. I think it's far more likely to be something downstream, either a harmonic that you're not going to really get rid of, but that very few other people have had problems with harmonics. Is most likely something on the feeder coming back, I would say. Right. just a couple of points before I close the net. CQTV should be out in the next couple of days. That's the other thing that's been keeping me busy. So you should have a CQTV out in the next couple of days. I've just seen the final proof pop into my inbox. So once we've read that, that'll go out. Please make sure you get your contest logs in. I know, Rob, you've got yours in. I'm guilty. I haven't put mine in yet. But there are a few others out there that need to be put in. Deadline is this coming weekend. So please get the contest logs in before the end of the weekend. That means you, Noel, as well. Made some progress with the Portsdown. I'm halfway through a Portsdown upgrade, and we've managed to find the settings to get it to display the QO100 beacon, just for the sake of it. But it just is a confidence check that you can actually display the beacon, so that will be in the next upgrade. Timescale on the ride, Mike, I would say a month before we get the beta code out there. We're making some early design decisions at the moment, and there are quite a few features that we need to finalise. It's quite a struggle to get it up and running at the moment in any sensible way, but there is progress. And I will email you later, Jim, with a few other ideas about the problems you're having. Things to check, and more a checklist of things to check. I'll do that in about half an hour, an hour's time. So I think the last thing to comment on was the IP address of the Pluto. I've got my Pluto just plugged directly by USB into a Pi 4, and I get no issues with it. I did have to do some scripting of clearing out the SSH cache when switching between RIDE and Portsdown, but that's in the switching logic on the RIDE/Portsdown. I must admit I haven't tried the Pluto on a network adapter, although I did buy one. In fact, I bought exactly the same one as you've got, Gonzo, but I haven't used that. Maybe for my next Pluto when I buy it. Okay, that's about it. GTZ says, Mike, yes, look on the wiki. You can download the spreadsheet to enter the contest. Look on the forum, it's all there. Please read. And I will pass it over to Noel. Much flurrying at Noel's QTH. I'll pass it over to Noel for the final transmission of the net, G8GTZ and the group G8GKQ. We're not having Noel. Great. Good night all then, and same time next week, G8G.